Well, what's the crack, everybody? How are you getting on? Welcome to another episode of the Tom O'Mahony Show. What's the happening? Jesus. Tour kicks off in November. My brand new tour, Take Enough, kicks off. We've added another date, the Excel Theatre in Tipperary Town. So go to the link below for all those dates and everything else you need. The link will lead you everywhere to everything I'm about to say. Of course, the Hill Comedy Club is sold out for Bernard O'Shea at the end of the month. Carl Spain is now on sale for the 4th of November, and I think there's 6 tickets left for my show, which is the 25th of November. It's part of the Take Enough tour. So go in there for all your tickets and all the rest of it. Podcasting like crazy at the minute. I know I haven't been up, but we will come to an end with the Tom and Jerry show, and we will come to an end with the rugby, so I'll be able to concentrate back on this. And also I'm buying a house, and Jesus. But I am getting out podcasts. I'm getting out Ramble Pods for the Patreons. We're going to do a live one in the next, not this weekend, the following weekend. I'm going to put up we're going to do a live one. But of course, the Tom and Jerry show. If you're going, what the Christ is he on about? Go look for the Tom and Jerry show. Go look in that link that says my podcasts, and Banana and Bear Rugby Pod is in there. Myself and Anna Capeless following the World Cup right now, and Tom and Jerry show. We just put out one on Monday. It's out every Monday. We've 10 episodes at least in the can for season 7. So number 2 came out. It's about basically the thickest tours of criminals that have ever existed, or at least that we could find anyway. So Banana and Bear's Rugby Podcast, it's kind of self-explanatory. It's very rugby adjacent. If you're light on sports, feel at home. We don't go too heavy on it. We have a lot of crack first and foremost, and throughout, and at the very end. So there's a bit of rugby sizzling there somewhere. Do you know? Go get you some. And also we are doing a How to Rugby little mini-series for people who want to kind of join in the crack with the Rugby World Cup, but they haven't a clue what they're looking at, listening to, talking about, or whatever else. So it just makes it a bit more enjoyable and palatable. Not making it all nerdy, just making it easy on you. Do you know what I mean? Just making it easy on you to just go handy. A couple of more fun announcements coming up in the next few weeks that I'm very, very excited about. Yes, I am very, very excited about new clubs, new shows, and all the rest of it coming up. Like I said, the Patreon is there. If you'd like to support the show, that'd be tremendous. And for that, you get the gang, the Patreon, got this Tuesday night, ad free. So ads at least give you a pen to hold. If you want to support the show and all the other shows I do, I would very much appreciate it to click the Patreon link, join in. You get the Ramble Pods, which nobody else gets, and you get to join the live ones, and I answer your questions, and your questions only. Right, moving on to today's guest. Today's guest is a comedian from Shanghai. How cool is that? All the way from Shanghai. Our internet broke a few times because it's a fair old distance, so... But it came together lovely. It was a great crack. Her name is Dawn Wong. She is absolutely brilliant. I put a link down the bottom to her TikTok, so you can see the kind of sketches she makes and stuff like that. Very, very interesting chat, and a super sound woman. Does a very, very good Irish colloquialisms, because of course her husband is from Galway. So, a farmer from Galway, all the way in Shanghai. Listen, sit back and enjoy the fantastic Dawn Wong. This is not. Do you know what? I'm not even going to edit out much of this. I'm just going to let it roll, because this is exactly what podcasting with two comedians is supposed to be. Yeah,
yeah, technical problems and stuff. Yeah.
We finally made the machine go. Yes, straight out the gate. I obviously through TikTok I spotted you.
Yeah.
I was like, this is absolutely nailed it, because people try, but they never. But it's like, great trying out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, which one did you see first?
The one that caught me first was you talking to you, and it was Irish traits of how people actually interact in public, and the other you was absolutely terrified.
Oh,
like,
right, yeah,
oh,
the introvert.
Christ. They actually smile.
That's a big culture shock. Like every time I go to Ireland, that's like one of the biggest things for me, because I grew up in the city.
And it's just not looking at each other. Are you from Singapore originally?
No, I'm in China, actually. I'm from China. I was born and raised here in China. Yeah. Actually never been to Singapore. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know why. Why did I think you were in... Where are you then?
I don't know. To you people, China and Singapore is like tomato, isn't it?
No, no, it's not. No, not
No,
at all.
I
But
know,
for
I know. Yeah,
some reason I thought you were. Where are you then?
I'm in Shanghai actually.
Shanghai.
Yes, I live in
I,
Shanghai.
j- I could go back through my messages and Singapore came up. Isn't that funny? I wonder was somebody tapping in and going, no, no, we'll say she's from, you know.
Yeah, it's
Was it
all
so?
the same. It's like,
So Shanghai,
yeah, yeah.
that is a place I've always wanted to go. My brother-in-law just came back from there,
Oh,
and he's like,
really?
yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
for a
He's
visit?
over there a lot. No work,
All
work. He's
right.
over there a lot with work,
What does he
but
do?
it's something to do with computers. Way more technical than
Something
me, anyway.
community. Okay. All right.
I don't ask. I
Yeah.
just nod and go, okay. That's he knows. There's no point in telling me what he does. Do you know? There's
Yeah.
no point.
Wow. That must be
There's
really
nothing.
technical.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
he's been going a long time, so I think it's he has built a good relationship. So like whatever company he's working with in Germany, I know that the two back and forth. He loves it. He loves it. No kids, no wife, no nothing. He's like, yeah, off to Shanghai. He loves it.
Is that your younger brother or older brother?
Oh, brother-in-law,
Oh,
my
sorry. Sorry, brother. No, sorry.
my
Oh,
wife's brother.
all right.
He's yeah, oh, he's older. This is a guy that those guys that'll never get married. Just no, or never never settle down properly. He's like,
Yeah.
this is way too much fun.
Is that too
But
much for Irish people? Is that very like unconventional or
it is
yeah.
uncomfortable. But I think it's getting more and more. No, do you know? I say unconventional, but if you actually looked around the countryside, there's a lot of bachelors, unmarried men who have they were probably the youngest in the family. We were only talking about this the other day. The youngest in the family, they kind of ended up staying with the parents to mind the farm. And now they're in their like 50s and life has kind of passed them by a bit. And they're like, oh, all right. And now my parents are dead. And now
Yeah.
I've got the farm, but nothing else but a dog.
That's
So there's a lot,
interesting.
yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot where life is just passing them by because they were the last and
Yeah.
they just kind of had to look after the family business or whatever it was. But now everybody else has moved to cities or moved away and they're the ones left holding the thing. Actually within like 4 or 5 kilometers of where I am right now, there's got to be like 20 guys and we've moved back from Dublin. We've moved out of Dublin back to rural Ireland. There's got to be 20 guys. So if you know any women who are, looking for a guy with land and money,
All right. Um, let me think about it.
this is
In
there's a
Shanghai,
genuine
maybe
look.
not so many that would just go to a rural Ireland place to farm. That's gonna be
Hold
hard, I'd
on.
say.
Hold on. You literally did that in one of your videos.
I did, but the thing is, I don't live there. I live in Shanghai.
Yes. Yeah.
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 And like to make me move to a farmland, like that might be one of the like that's gonna be hard. That's gonna be really hard. I'm gonna find it really difficult to just like live my life there because I grew up in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But and a busy city too. I mean,
yeah. Then there's a
there's
lot to
not
do
a
in the city. You know, you go downstairs. I have two Starbucks right downstairs, like two.
why have one when you can have two?
I
Of course.
know,
Of
right?
course. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of yeah. It's always hard. Like whenever I go to Ireland, that's like one of the things. Because my husband's from a farm,
Yeah.
so whenever I go to Ireland, I just find it super quiet. And as what my sketch was saying, like neighbors just drop by, just like in the morning, whatever. Like they don't care if you're in your pajamas or whatever. They just drop by for a tea. Like if they
Yeah.
take out the biscuits, oh, it's gonna be long. It's gonna be a long visit.
Cancel your plans.
Yeah.
Cancel your plans if you've got the biscuits. Isn't that ironic that you are from such a populated place, but yet less people talk to each other? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess that's why. Because when you're like growing up to so many people around you, like people are just like the most normal thing in your
Yeah.
eyes, right? So you're just like that. It's like you
Yes,
had
you're right.
enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You're just dead to
Yeah.
all the people.
Yeah,
You're like, you're right. Yeah,
exactly.
okay.
And also I think in the city, maybe you're gonna be worried about you're gonna get scammed if you talk to stranger.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
like that
Yes.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so you try to avoid people on the road, especially, and you don't know, like in the city, people are like unhinged. Sometimes you don't know who's crazy, so you don't want to, yeah, you don't really want to talk to people and make eye contact. Actually, I'm originally from northeast of China, so that
All
place
right.
is kind of bordered with Russia,
Yes.
and our people are known for just being aggressive. Like sometimes, yeah, sometimes like you walk on the
Like
street in like where I'm from, like you walk on the street and you look at a man, like you could have a fight. Like we're like the
like Cork.
Russians of China, you know? It's just literally, yeah. So you don't make eye contact, and literally, well, our famous like people, how do you say? Like it's like a saying, like people in where I'm from, if you look at them, they will say, "What are you looking at?" Like they would literally say that to you. Yeah.
Okay, that's literally the town I went to school in. That's
Yeah.
literally Tipperary town. It was like, and you look at anybody, it's like, what are you looking at? What? Yeah,
Really? But Irish people are
yeah.
so friendly. Like whenever I walk on the street, I see Irish people, like we make eye contact. It's always like, hello, hi, how are you? You know. So
Yeah.
yeah.
To be fair, I think there's a deep rooted history in kind of clan like behavior. You know, especially Irish people with Irish people, they they feel they have to be nice because for 800 years you were locked behind closed doors of the British, and then all of a sudden it's open. It's like, oh, say hello to everybody. You know,
Do
because
you mean you don't say
for
hello to each other before that?
no, I don't. Well, we probably no, it wasn't. It wasn't overly allowed. It wasn't overly allowed. Congregations of people and stuff like that wasn't. It wasn't overly appreciated. Like our own sports, all that.
Yeah.
Any of our culture was all kind of washed away to a degree. So they weren't really allowed to do much of their own thing.
Yeah.
So as soon as the gates were opened in like 1920 or whatever it was like, oh, great, we get to be really, we get to have a great time.
I also think maybe the reason you guys are really nice to each other is like you know everybody. Everybody knows
That's
her.
it.
If you're an asshole,
Yes.
like the whole village knows you're an
Yeah.
asshole. Like, oh, he didn't even
There's
say hello to me last time. Like it's probably something like that. Yeah.
there's definitely that when there's only 5 million people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not, yeah, that like that could be how many people are in Shanghai?
That's the
Like that
population.
could
That's the population of my apartment building. No, no.
two Starbucks. You need two Starbucks for 5 million people. Yeah,
I know. Yeah.
it's true with only 5 million, and when you think that like there is quite, it is a small country, but like Britain is only time and a half the size, and they've 90 million.
All right.
So you know, so there is an anonymity in numbers. Whereas here, as you just said, you kind of have to wave at everybody, even if you don't know them, because they're probably related to somebody you know,
Yeah.
and it'll say,
Yeah.
"Oh, that
I know.
bastard,
I know.
he thinks he's a big shot now." Yeah,
Yeah.
fine.
We have like 27 million in Shanghai, I think.
In
25 to
good
27.
God,
Yeah.
good God.
Yeah. And it's like I don't even see my friends like sometimes. You know, it's very impossible you run into people in this city actually.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of impossible. Like you feel pretty like for me, you feel pretty free. You walk on the street one day, you know, you're just like
I suppose, yeah.
you don't have to talk to anybody you know. Like you can just be, you know, if you want to be a shit like a piece of shit today, then you just like be a piece of shit. Yeah, I think that's actually really liberating. But in Ireland, you do feel more like I feel more like I have to kind of say because I'm the only Chinese in the village, so it's
That's the name of your sitcom.
yeah,
That is the name of your sitcom. That's the name of today's show, everybody.
I
The
know,
only Chinese in the village.
yeah. So it's like you know, like I don't know who. I think everybody knows me, even I don't know anybody. Still, I walk on the street or the country road, then people look at me. They're like, I know. I know that Chinese
Yeah.
woman is married to somebody's son, you know, like that kind of stuff.
It's a good shot in the dark that that it hasn't happened too many times in the area. They're like, oh no, you've the wrong Chinese girl there. No, she's
No,
actually married.
that's
No,
true.
it's not.
That's true. I'm the only one. Yeah, for sure. Like even
The
even the Chinese restaurant in Ireland, like probably a lot of them not owned by Chinese. Like
no,
yeah,
no,
no, not at all. Yeah.
no, not at all. You ask them and you're like, and where are you originally from in China yourself? Oh no, I'm from Thailand. Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's yeah, but when was so your husband is Irish. Where in Ireland?
He's from a village. He's from a place called it's kind of close to Galway. It's like an hour drive. The village is called Caltra. Do you know the
Oh
two
yes,
two
yes,
hurlers? Manians, the Park Manian
yes.
and Cathal Manian. That's his brothers.
Wow.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
yeah.
Right.
There you go.
Sears hurling stock. Okay.
See,
Right.
everybody knows everything. It's really it's
To be
basically,
fair,
yeah, like you walk on the street and you're like, even you are driving for like 3 hours and you meet somebody, then I see like sometimes my husband talk to somebody. Then within 5 minutes, they're already like, okay, I know your mom's cousin, like that kind of stuff. Like always.
it is
Yeah.
it is ridiculous to the point that my wife, she's originally from Dublin. I'm rural, and even Christ, Tom, is there any connections you don't have? I'm like, nah, no. Things can just be random. She's like, really,
Yeah.
and literally, like
Yeah.
I was doing warm up for a TV show last night in Dublin, and like five people in the green room. There was an immediate connection between. Oh, my uncle used to. My uncle used to mend radiators for cars down near your, and he worked with your father. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was, oh my
That's
God. And
exactly. Every time like
yeah,
we go out with my husband's family, like his dad's name is also Tom. Like Tom knows everybody. Like we
of
can drive
course.
4 hours in Ireland. Tom still like just shaking hands. Like as soon as he get off the car, he starts to shake hands with people. Like, geez, how are you doing? Like he's like shaking hands with everybody. It's just like
So,
pretty crazy, I think. Yeah.
so clearly, this is the question because in fairness, you're nailing the accent, but you obviously had good English before you met him.
Yes.
But when he started speaking, were you like, what version of fucking English do you have? Because this is not fucking normal.
I know. Yeah, yeah. First of all, like I remember when we first started dating, then he was saying things uh like car. He would say care.
Because the West of
And
Ireland
I was
does say
like,
care. Yeah.
what is care? Like he just makes you question your English level, like very, very much. And till the other day, he met my like one of my best friends. She's from Australia. Then he said something like he was saying something like, oh, I have a care. Then my friend turned to me and said, what is care? Like she looked so confused. I'm like, okay, it's not me. It's not just me. Okay, that's good.
Care.
Yeah. Care or mark, right? Like retired. Like he just like say all these things.
Yeah. We tend to go a bit hard. There's no softness, especially in the West of Ireland accent. There is no softness. They go hard on all their R's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they go, care. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I can
And
see the
they pronounce S often as SH.
SH. Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense.
Like
Nowhere else in
mush.
Ireland.
Like
Nowhere else.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's no oh
I
really?
yeah,
That's just
nowhere else in
West.
Ireland west. And for some reason,
Oh.
like I remember I was in Andorra a couple of years ago skiing, and we were in the airport going there, and there was two Galway guys beside me. They're going, "Well, boys, are you going skiing?" I was like, "What?
Yes.
Going
Yes.
skiing?" I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, we're going skiing. Yeah, yeah."
Yeah, like shellfish stick, like
A shellfish stick. There's yes,
yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
So, and was he in Shanghai when you met him?
Yes, we met in Shanghai.
Right.
Yeah.
Because yeah, and how does an Irish fella convince you that it's a good idea? Come on, come back to Ireland with me. Because I mean, imagine the culture shock was like, okay, there's just cows. That's it. Nowhere else. Nothing.
Yeah, but it's really funny, like because 2010, I went to Ireland for the first time for a job. So
All right.
I was working at a TV station as a host, and we were filming in Ireland as a travel show.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So that
Right.
was my first time. Then 2014 in Shanghai, I met my husband. Then I was like, "Oh, you're Irish. That I've been to Ireland." Like, 'cause it's so hard to meet an Irish person in China, because like
Yeah.
you've been to Ireland and then you really liked the country. Then you want to talk about this country with somebody, but nobody here, like people here, they don't know anything about Ireland. Like
No,
most
why would
people,
they?
yeah, most people still think it's like England, like that kind of
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I met my husband and I said, "Oh, you're Irish." Then I was like, "I've been to Ireland." That's how we started talking. Yeah.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Right. And then he had to explain hurling to you. And you're like, what?
Yeah. I was like, "What?" And they don't get paid. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
They almost kill each other and they don't get paid. And
No.
80,000 people will go and watch them and pay tickets, but they still don't get paid.
I know. That's like
I know.
unbelievable for me. Like, especially for Chinese people. We're very, I wouldn't say materialistic, like we are, but like most Chinese parents would send their kids to do some sports only because that sports has a future, would make money for the kids. Like, that's the only reason they will ever let their kids do sports. Yeah.
Right.
So going to Ireland, like hurling and Gaelic football, is just something that I just wouldn't understand. It's like, wow, you guys would kind of, for example, you would just like find a job as a teacher because it has
Yeah.
so many holidays and you have time to train. And
Yeah.
no matter what did you study in college, you study like engineering or science, whatever, then you just like, I'm gonna be a primary school teacher, and because I want to play this sports that doesn't pay me at all. That for Chinese
Yeah.
people, it's just like, wow, that is very noble and passionate. Like, it's really beautiful. But in the other way, it's like, how like how does this work? Yeah, it's really hard for me to understand.
It wouldn't work anywhere else because you can stay. You see, once if you make say county level or whatever, you're kind of made on a social level
Yeah,
in your local area forever, really.
that's true.
So and your family's pride immediately is all that matters because it becomes very parochial.
That's
So other
true.
than that, is because as you said, like it is. I've never heard it said as being noble, and it is. But they've never, and the option was put to them a couple of years ago. Like, did you want a petition to go professional? They were like, nope. And this is the major players. They were like, no, it would ruin the sport. And before you know, then money would become the main goal rather
Yeah.
than actually playing for where you're from. So then guys would start transferring to different counties for more money. And they
Yes.
went, no, no, no. And before we know it, it's out of control. And the whole ethos of the sport it will be gone. The sport should be first before money. And it's like, oh, actually, that's kind of cool. Fair enough.
That's another thing that Irish people always kind of like impress me. Like, Irish people don't care about money at all.
Not really.
Like,
No,
you do, but not
it's
like that. Yeah. Like, you wouldn't, like, you were like, "Oh, I'm not selling my soul for a little bit, like for even a lot of money."
it's weird. I was among some people last night that were wealthy people, and it still shocks me. It's like, oh, you're okay to just show your wealth. It's like, oh, right, that's a bit odd. It felt a little uncomfortable. It's like, in that moment, it was like, why would you do that? Why would you be bothered showing your? Yeah, but this was the scenario that it was, and it's a very un-Irish scenario, is what it
Yeah.
was. But typically, I mean, you meet millionaires and you'd never know. You're like, well, okay, you're driving a 14-year-old car, just going, yeah, still works. Why would I? Why would I? Because the feeling too also that would come from British rule from a long time, whereas you kept your head down below the parapet because if you were seen to have done better, you would be charged more rent on your land, essentially.
All
So you
right.
kind of went, no, no, I'm just going to stay in my lane. I'll be all right. And it's getting less and less with the Conor McGregors of this world, going, oh, we fucking made loads of money. But the reality is that it's still kind of frowned upon to be showing your wealth. It's like, it's seen as being a bit grotesque. Come on now.
Isn't
Come
that
on.
weird that like Ireland is like way more socialism than us?
Yeah.
Like, we're
Yes,
supposed to
that
be
is
the
funny.
socialist country.
That is
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
When it's capitalism, while it is here, we allow that in small sections of the cities. But realistically, that was the thing my wife noticed when she moved here. She goes, "Oh, there's no class system at all here because there is no. We're all the same. You know, if you have no money or you've loads of money, it doesn't make a difference. You're still support the same team. You still go to the same one bar. You know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah.
There is no class system whatsoever. Like, so.
That is so true. Yeah. Which is really beautiful. Like you guys like kept, it's like stay real, you know, kind of like that. Like in
We're
China,
hipsters.
we love money. Everybody's like we live for money. Everybody.
Yes.
Yeah,
Isn't that
we even
funny?
have a money god. Like we have a money god.
Yes.
We pray to money
Yeah.
god. So it's like we just love money. So I think in that sense, when I go to Ireland, like what I see is like it's such a culture shock when people just like really don't care about money or like you know whatever brands you're wearing, your purse, you know what kind of brands of purse. Like in China, people would be looking at, oh, he's wearing like Louis Vuitton bag or you know like this kind of stuff. Yeah.
But to know, to what avail? Like, to what do you win by being the best dressed in public? You don't really win anything. Nobody's going high five, come in, you know.
Yeah. I guess in China, it's a little bit like because we just thinking about it in the past 20 years, most of us were just elevated to middle class because
Right.
we
Yes.
were kind of poor before, you know, but now it's like it's a rich country just now. So we're at the
Yes.
stage that everybody's still kind of like they just got money and people are still at the stage of like I'm showing off.
That was like the
I'm
early
treating myself. A lot of girls are like, I'm treating myself with this really expensive bag because I work
right.
hard, you know, like that kind of thing. Yeah. But for me, it's like, yeah, I don't really care that much about those. Yeah.
It was funny. We had that period for about 6 years in Ireland between 2002 and 2000,
Yeah.
2008. And we all went crazy like that. We went skiing. We we did and got all excited, think we were all really rich driving around in Range Rovers. And then all of a sudden the recession happened. And you know what? In a lot of ways, culturally, it was the best thing ever because we all went, fuck. Right. Yeah. Oh, what are we? Yeah, that was stupid, actually, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah, fine. No, Fendi hand. No, that's fine. It's fine. We don't need Gucci sunglasses. It's fine. It's fine. It is,
I don't know if you
you
watched
know,
Louis C.K.'s the governor clubs that special that one got
yes.
released. Then he was talking about selling a golden watch. I don't know if you remember that
Oh,
bit.
yes.
Yeah.
No, I don't. But I know the one you're on
But he
about.
was
Yeah,
like,
just sorry, go ahead.
yeah, he's like selling gold watch. He was like, that's just the most stupid idea of buying it. Like, I should have a golden watch. Like, you know, then when you're selling
Yeah.
it, people are like, people know you're broke. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I
Yeah.
remember that
Yeah.
bit. That
Yeah.
was funny. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah. I
kind of like
do.
that. Yeah.
My in-laws were at they were in they were somewhere in China years ago, a couple, maybe 12 or 13 years ago. I remember them telling me, and they were invited. It was through friends of theirs from Dublin who were Chinese, and they said, "Would you come to this party?" And they knew him for years. Would you come? It was somebody's birthday party, like a grandmother's 80th birthday party, and it was in this big restaurant.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Well, what do you bring an 80-year-old for her birthday?" Do you know what I mean? Like in Ireland, it's a fucking scarf. You know what I mean? It's like, what do you bring? And like, oh, money. Like, what do you mean, oh, money? They were just give her some money. What's an 80-year-old going to do with the money? Like, it doesn't matter. Just give her money. They're like, okay. And they
Oh,
got it. And that's what it was. It was just everybody just kind of went, here's an envelope with some money, Nana. There
yeah.
you go. She's like, nice one. And it was just this huge, big floating restaurant on a river somewhere.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what we
but
do here.
they felt guilty because they were like, well, there's nothing personal. Like, it's the same as if the same present as everybody gave you. Like, there was absolutely nothing personal in it. And they felt guilty. They were like, fucking hell, money. Here, okay, if that's what you want. But they wanted to, do you know what I mean? They wanted to do something personal from their point of view. But nope,
Yeah.
Nana wants money. And that's all
Yeah.
she wants. It was like, okay, was she going to the strip club or something? What does Nana want money for? I put,
Yeah, that's the thing. A red envelope. That's our thing. It's called
yes.
红包.
Humbao.
Yeah, it's called 红包. So like Chinese New Year, you give kids that. And
Oh,
wedding day, you give the couples that. It's like what Irish people put money in the cards. That's our
yeah.
cards, but you don't write write anything. You just like put things on in the 红包. It represents good luck.
Okay.
Yeah, and
And
for
it
birthdays and
represents
all that. Yeah.
It represents tax avoidance by the looks of things. It's all cash.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah.
So when did you take up stand up, or when did you take up comedy, I should say?
I've always been really, really like I just love comedy. I watch so much
Yeah.
stand-up comedy. So I started in China, started off translating, subtitling Western comedy. And I
Right.
post on social media and I got some followers. Then 2019, I did this funny wedding speech,
Okay.
and that was at obviously at our wedding. And I did a funny speech. Then I posted it on Chinese social media and just went absolutely viral. Then
And this was at your wedding. That's brilliant.
yeah, then that's when people are like, you really should just do stand-up You should try it at least.
Yeah.
Because one of my friends, he's a pretty well-known Chinese comedian. So he was like, let me sign you up. Then he signed me up an open mic. Then that's how I started.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's nice. Nice that somebody actually put, because it's a kind of a lone wolf scenario that somebody actually put their arm around and went, no, you should give it a go. And here, I'll get you started.
Yeah.
Because standing around in the back of the room, kind of going, okay, I'll give it a go. And
Yeah.
nobody is giving you any encouragement because
yeah.
fuck you, basically.
And it's also kind of like, and also everybody think they can do it. Like a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people, like, especially when they're watching an open mic, then they're like, there's a lot of people are really shitty up there. Like, I can do better. Like, that's how you feel. That's why people sign up for comedy. Then they sign up, then they go up stage, then they're like, they did terrible. And then they're like, okay, it's not that easy. Yeah. Like, you feel like you're going to scroll up. It's just you're nervous. The lights are too bright. You can't see anybody. You're like, why aren't they laughing? It's just like that kind of stuff. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense if you put it in somebody's head. You're like, oh no, we want you to stand up there for an allotted time, make strangers laugh who are sitting in the dark, and you're the brightly lit one. Yeah. Does that sound like a good idea? And you're like, no, that sounds like a terrible idea.
I know. Yeah.
And did you get a chance to do any stand up when you were here?
No, actually. This summer I went to Ireland, then I kind of contacted a few comedy clubs. Not two. I didn't even try. I Instagram DM'd 2 clubs. Then one of them called the Crack Den.
Oh, the Crack Den. Yeah.
So they responded. Then they said, "Oh, we don't have any spots. Like, would you send us one of like your work or anything like that?" So I sent them my stand-up link. Then they're like, "Oh, we know you. We watch your stand-up."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that's great." Then they said, "Actually, we do have a spot, like July 29th or something." I was like, "No, I can't do it because my sister-in-law's wedding is that time."
Yes.
So I was like,
right.
I can't. And then they said, "But we have one spot in like Christmas, like December." Yeah. So I think I will try that. I will try that this time when we go back to Ireland for Christmas.
Yeah, that's a lovely club.
Yeah,
it's right in the city centre too. Like,
nice.
The boys Eddie and Damo have that. It's a nice spot, and they have the great thing about it. I think if you're there over the weekend, I think they're running 4 or 5 shows over the weekend, so you could get in all 5. Yeah, you could get in there all 5 of them. It's a nice spot. It's exploded again here in Ireland since after lockdowns and all that. There's fucking clubs everywhere.
Yeah.
Even in like rural places now. Like I've opened a club here.
All right.
Christ, it's sold out every single month. It's ridiculous.
Man.
And about to open another one just in Limerick City. So it's taken off huge. I don't know. I guess people were just locked in for that long, and all they did was watch every comedy special there was. And went, oh, I'm now into comedy.
Yeah, that's very interesting because I think normally when economy is going down, people are more into entertainment for some reason, like movies, entertainment, showbiz. It's always booming when economy is going down.
That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, I remember reading that before. It's like, it makes sense though. People need that little pick me up. It's like buying that handbag for yourself. I deserve to have a laugh.
Yeah,
I deserve
that's true. Yeah, that's cool.
And what's the comedy scene like in Shanghai then?
It's very interesting. So in China, doing comedy, you have doing licensed legal comedy. You have to submit your script. I'm not talking about TV. Like, sure, a lot of places you go on TV, you do like 5 minutes bit. You have to submit your script and make sure you don't have cursing or anything like that. But like I'm talking about just like offline, even open mics. You need to submit your script.
A script?
Yes. Like you need to write
What
down
have you done?
all your jokes. You write it down and you video recording yourself reading it out, then you submit it.
Submit it to who?
To
the comedy gods.
It's called Cultural and Travel Bureau. So they are in charge of all the entertainment, showbiz, and all those content, all those stuff. Yeah, so you have to submit to them, and they vet it. Then they're like, okay, these scripts are fine. Just don't say anything. Yeah, you can't say fuck, shit. It's like the 7 words. It's like the George Carlin's 7 words. You can't say any other words, obviously, and you can. There's so many things you can't say. Then
you can't speak ill of China, clearly, obviously, as well.
No, for sure not. Sure not. So most people, that's licensed show.
Wow.
If one day they found out that one of your comedians said something that's out of the script, I'm talking about the content could be just safe. The content could be just safe, but it's not submitted. Then they can fine the club for a lot of money. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I would never get a gig in Shanghai.
A lot of people, yeah. I think that's the problem. God. You don't see a lot of international comedians coming to China to perform. Like they go to Hong Kong, but they don't really come to the mainland. Yeah.
Do you know what? Just because I'm told, because you're telling me it's difficult, now I want to do it. Now I want to submit a script and everything.
Yeah. Well, it's basically, just clean material. If you're gonna come to China, like depends on how long you want to do. You want to do a headliner or a spotlight show, right? Maybe 30 minutes. Then just prepare 30 minutes. Yeah.
Wow. But I love the notion of submitting it. Like what Jesus. I didn't think that there was obviously I knew there was that level of control and interest, because even we were talking by message over going, we might have to use Microsoft Teams, Tom, because Zoom might be a little dodgy.
Yeah.
And even I noticed right as we started recording, I noticed first time in 3 years of using Zoom, I noticed my screen on my side here just started flashing for about 3 seconds.
No.
Yep. Never seen it before. Yeah.
Really?
Never seen it before. Yeah.
That could be a consequence, but yeah.
I hope we're getting tapped into right now. I feel.
No, they don't have control over Zoom though, so that's fine.
No. I think Zoom is out of the Netherlands or someplace like that. Yeah. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
And you're allowed then to. So I suppose from a personal point of view, then when you put up your wedding video, could that potentially be pulled down? Like
that's fine. That's totally fine. The wedding video is totally fine, because that is not a gig. That is not a paid gig or anything. That's your private. That's your wedding. That's fine. Yeah.
Now, maybe we should just get you dressed up in a wedding dress and just get you gigging, gigging wherever you want, saying whatever you want, going on continuously.
A lot. Yeah, this is a different husband.
This was a long wedding. It was a long wedding.
Every weekend, I'm marrying every weekend. Yeah.
That's incredible. Wow. But you like, because I mean, I don't believe the lads in the crack den will require a script.
No, I hope not. Yeah.
It would be amazing if they sent and went, what is
no,
this?
You cannot talk about how small your husband's penis is. It's like that kind of thing. Yeah.
But that's it. You won't get, because and the great thing, like, because clearly, see, I knew when I was watching, she has some background in it had to be something in production of some sort, because you can dick about with whatever you want when you're, making your own sketch. But I was like, this is really well cut together. Like, especially like the two chatting with each other. Brilliant. Nice and fast, and finish with a good punchline. And then even the milking the cows one, where you went milking the cow, which is fucking great. It was, honestly, you should submit it all part of, You should submit that to like Ear to the Ground. It's a TV show here, agricultural TV show that I guarantee
I
that
know.
Tom, your father-in-law, loves. Maybe
Yeah.
leave off the punchline at the very end. Maybe leave that off. No, look it. Leave it in and see what they say. I'm not ruining it for people, but it finishes. A sketch is how sketch. A lot of people miss that point in a sketch. It's still supposed to be a joke throughout,
Yeah.
with a punchline at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just let their sketches peter out.
Yeah.
Whereas you have a punchline at the end of yours, which was mwah, perfect. Like that's exactly what you're supposed to say at the very end of it. I would love to see Ear to the Ground.
Yeah.
Okay, we have one in from a Chinese lady who's farming down in the west of Ireland. Let's watch it here now.
Yeah.
Oh, she's really getting it, lads. Let's see how. Oh God.
Yeah. I think a lot of Irish people were really laughing about that video. I think it's
Well, it's
kind of like
perfect.
Chinese
It's fish
people.
out of water stuff. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's, you know.
It's like in China, on social media, you see all this viral, like foreigner, like expats, viral videos on social media. It's always this, like a foreigner in China trying some super spicy food, or like those
Yeah.
kind of like experience stuff. It's kind of similar. People like to see somebody from a totally different culture to try something that you're familiar with. Yeah.
Or the one I see the most like that is like, do you know, a guy who looks like me sitting in a restaurant speaking perfect, like actually with the dialect and an accent and everything. Like, what the fuck? You know, like
Yeah.
in that, and that seems to be, I suppose it would blow you away if all your life you never met somebody who can speak the exact, but the guy has their accent and everything. So they're like, what? How does so it's this. I think the You Milking Cows was far superior because when would an Irish person ever see that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we do have South Africans, we have Australians farming here, like, and stuff, but you will never get somebody from China going, right, let's get after these cows.
That's true. That's true. I was thinking, what's next? I might do one in Christmas. I don't know what else I could do. Yeah.
Well, there's surely a tractor that can let you drive.
Oh, I need a license.
Yeah, you got to
for
do
that.
something with a tractor.
Do I need a license?
No, you don't.
No.
No.
Oh, wow.
No, you can drive it on the farm with their permission. You can drive it on the farm.
Oh, wow.
It's not a public property. Yeah, don't worry about that. We've made loads of sketches with friends who couldn't drive anything with tractors.
Wow.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
That's cool.
Don't worry about it.
I might try it, actually. Yeah.
It's the perfect opportunity. Like, Dawn tries another Irish silliness. Dawn hurls. That's what we want to see.
Hurl.
Actually, yeah. Dawn plays hurling.
I tried a little bit. Hurling is so hard. It's
ridiculous.
Well, the first time I was watching it, I was like, how do people even manage to see the ball? Like, it's so small. And it's like traveling in that speed and so far away, they just catch it. I'm like, how do you even do that? So I tried it in my husband's yard, and I tried catching the ball. It hurts your hands so badly. Like, it's
ridiculous.
How do you? Yeah, it's amazing.
One of the best hurlers like in the country is actually half Chinese. From Wexford. Li Chin.
Li Chin, yeah. I watched her games. Yeah.
He should never, ever, ever wear a shirt ever again. The man has the body of a god. He picks a shirt, after a match, you see sometimes the guys swap jerseys and stuff. And like, Li Chin, why would you wear a shirt when you look like that? He's got this like 8-pack. He's just this.
I haven't.
Oh, ridiculous.
Yeah, but
I would if it's well worth looking at. Li Chin with no shirt on. Trust me, it's an impressive setup.
I'll be Googling next.
No, you'll have to. The government won't allow it. I'm sorry, the government won't allow Li Chin.
No, I need to submit my Googling script first. Oh God, yeah.
It does. Yeah, it's always hard because I love the notion that comedies, because just like that, we're bringing comedy to the with the club here and stuff. There's people coming up going, I never thought of seeing stand-up comedy was never on their radar. Like, one old guy described it as like, I thought of comedians the same way I think of astronauts. I don't care, or I never cared. I just assumed they were there. Yeah. But now I absolutely love stand-up, that kind of way. And to hear that at least like you're saying in Shanghai, that it's okay, it's a little, it's, you do have to, but eventually that will fade away, surely, as well. You know what I mean? To a point.
I
Or do you see
don't
it just going,
I
nah?
don't see that coming. And also, for me, as the audience are also how do you say, they're trained to watch filtered stuff.
Oh,
So I can see over the years, a lot of audience, they start to get more and more like they can get offended by anything. Like in
oh, so
China,
it's
it's
not
a
getting
different
looser,
level.
it's getting tighter.
Like if you're talking about like some people are saying, oh, American, like the woke culture or whatever, like you can't say a lot of things, you can offend people. But in China, that's that's next level for me. Like comedy, if you watch it, you can see like people will get offended by like if you make joke about single people. And they're like, how dare you make jokes about single people? It's like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah. So it's like as people are like watching, they're so used to watching so filtered content. Then they
Right,
start
yeah.
to, then they just can't tolerate anything that's not even, I wouldn't even call it edgy.
Yeah.
Like they would just like get
It's
offended by like simple jokes, like making fun of single people. Yeah, it's like that kind of stuff.
so anything outside their lane, they're like, no, not for me.
Yeah,
Not for me.
because sometimes I like to do a little bit like darker jokes.
Yeah,
Like even I would tone it down way more for Chinese audience, but they're still like,
of course.
oh, like how did you just how why did you just say that? They're like they can't even. Yeah, so it's you. I can notice that change over the years for sure.
So getting tighter and tighter.
Yeah,
That's interesting, because you think it would go the. Although in saying that, it got tight and tight here for a while. Not that I probably did myself no favors, because I absolutely refused. I was like, this isn't natural, by the way, and this will all flip back the other way. And everybody, like I had older friends, like theater producers and stuff like that, were going, Jesus, we can't say this now in a play. We can't say. I went, it'll all flip back. It's not natural for humans to be this bound up.
mm,
They're getting angry about things that aren't actually worth getting angry about.
yeah,
And like I used to do a joke where I said, if you get stressed about words, you've clearly never been knocked out with a punch, because
yeah,
that's a real attitude adjuster. You wake up going, okay, yeah, I don't give a shit about anything anymore.
yeah.
That's, but you can see it now. It's all starting to melt away again,
Interesting.
because people,
Yeah,
it's not natural for people to be that bound up. Now,
true.
China is in a very different place politically than
Yeah,
Ireland is. But at the same time, a lot of the narratives were a government controlling thing. You knew they were. You could see it from, like, when you have a critical eye and you write material and stuff. So you have to stand back and look at it from an aerial point of view and go, hold on, that thought process is coming straight from the top, and
yeah,
kids are coming out with this rubbish now, and all of a sudden they're scared.
yeah.
But anytime I've ever been approached after a show, I'm like, off the clock. I'm off the clock. Good night. But
Yeah,
I have a problem. Like, you know what you can do with your fucking problem, don't you?
yeah.
Shove it back into your pocket,
But that's
because I don't care.
interesting because Irish people, for me, Irish people are like probably has the best sense of humor. Like I feel like Irish people are probably one of the best crowd in the world because
Oh yeah,
Bill Burr
yeah.
also said the same thing, right? Like you guys, your sense of humor just like next level. So for me, like what kind of jokes Irish people would get offended for? Like I
None.
don't.
Like, the
Yeah.
truth of it is, it's such a small amount. This notion that, oh God, woke and cancel and everything. And I kept on saying, I went, it's nobody. Nobody's actually offended. It's the emperor's new clothes. There is nobody. And if there is, it's such a small number
Yeah.
of people probably with mental problems who are
Mm,
on the internet. Because in the thousands of people I would play to every couple of months, it's nobody in an audience. And sure as shit, it's almost nobody that will come
that's
up to you.
so
But
true. That's so true.
you'd see it. You'd see it. Like, people don't care. People care about, can they pay the mortgage and what's for dinner tomorrow. That's
Yeah.
it. And anything, like, the darker the better in a lot of ways. Once you butter it up night, like if you come straight out like a sledgehammer, it's not funny, then fair enough. But people, they don't care. They don't
Yeah.
care. Like last night, the brand new host of the show, the Late Late Show, which is, a long running show,
Yeah.
Patrick Keelty, who's a comic.
Yeah.
I went on just before him, and in fairness, I'd done the tech rehearsal on Tuesday night, and I went, oh, they're letting me off here a little bit because they didn't give me any guidelines. Just went, look, Tom, you know yourself. You know yourself. It's TV show. It's a government-owned TV show. So even though it won't be broadcast, I'm just a warm-up.
Yeah.
But then he comes out, and because there'd been a bit of a scandal over the payment of the previous host, he comes out and just airs all the laundry on live on national television with brilliantly written jokes. He just comes out and goes, oh, brilliant. And you see all the executives in the green room where I was standing there like, oh, Jesus. And they're like, well, you signed the guy up for 2 seasons and he signed the contract. So, yeah. So he obviously signed up and went, if you're going to put any collar on me or any, you know, you're going to try and gag me in any way, I ain't doing it.
Yeah.
Because I was talking with him. I said, how did you get away with it? And he went, I told him, I'm the captain of everything I say and they can't pull me on anything. And he went, all right, okay.
How did the audience react to that?
At first it was like, oh, Jesus, are we allowed to laugh at this?
Oh,
you know, but for the first couple of seconds, and then they just started rolling the laugh because he just kept on laying it on, going, I ain't stopping for the next 3 or 4 minutes. Yeah. So, and in fairness, I had pushed it a little for him earlier too, because it was like, I want to see what they can go, what will, to give him an idea that you're going to be laughing. Trust me, it's all in the face. It's all in the name of good humor. There's, you know, and they did. And he, in fairness, he thanked me afterwards. He goes, thanks for digging into it, because I went after him a little harder than I probably should have. But again, nobody said, Tom, because they haven't, you know, I'm back for the next few weeks. They didn't go, right, Tom, you can fucking go home.
Yeah.
They didn't. It was.
That's awesome.
So but I'm definitely noticing, I think people are kind of for the longest time, they were looking left and right to see are they getting offended? Are they getting, and the only people that would ever get angry is if a company night, you know, a company was out.
Yeah.
And like somebody from HR, like some middle-aged woman from HR was sitting at the end of the row going, oh, I don't think we can say it. Is he allowed to say that? And everybody's like, yeah, because it's funny. It doesn't matter. These are just words.
True.
But now more and more, you go to north of Ireland, where, I mean, the comedy scene for it's only 400,000 people, 400,000 or 500,000 people in north of Ireland, which would be its own thing.
Yeah.
And every comic I know is selling out arenas now, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people. And it's like, because comedy it is bigger than religion, sport, everything now, stand-up comedy. It's on a level that's so ridiculous. And the darker you can go, I mean, the darker you can go, that's what people want. Because they're like, we've seen, they had war for 30 years and horrific things happen. So they're like, we've seen the worst of actual stuff. So you and your words, you go for it. You go for it. Say the darkest shit you want to say. And it doesn't matter. As dark as you can go, as disgusting as you can go, it doesn't matter.
You probably need more like one of those more edgy and darker jokes just to impress those people too. Because they've seen everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Yeah, yeah. You go soft and start pandering about what's to do with airplane food. They're like, I don't give a shit about airplane food.
Yeah.
Come on. You know, even I've noticed myself when I go up there, it's like, all right, time to rough up the edges here.
Yeah.
And people appreciate it. They don't care. Last time I walked on stage, it was about a month ago, I was up there. And as I was walking to the stage, this middle-aged woman, in kind of not a gross way, but kind of an encouraging way, she slapped me across the ass. She was like, go get him, Tom. I'm like, okay.
Oh, did I just get me too?
I think it was the first thing I said, but no, I was like, is she allowed to do that? Because I don't mind. Should I be upset? Should I call somebody? Should I tweet about this? Should I? He was like, yeah, you tweet about that, you bitch. I'm like, okay.
Was she drunk?
I loved it. Probably a little, but she was, you know. But it was just, she was a bit rough. It was like, she bought a ticket. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, fine. Slap my ass again if you want. I don't care. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
And it gave me my first 2 minutes to talk, you know. So it's interesting culturally how things, like, coming from your point of view, it's very, very, because I didn't know. Because I know guys that have gone and done festivals in Hong Kong, you know, which is loosey-goosey by comparison to what you're telling me. Very, very interesting.
Yeah. Like, a lot of comedians went to Hong Kong to perform. I remember there was one time Russell Peters came to Hong Kong. did he came to, I don't even remember if he came to Shanghai or not. But who's that? Uh, you know, the Irish guy, the Irish guy.
Des Bishop.
No, no, not him. Oh, I really like him, but actually I'm forgetting his name. Black Book, the Black Book store.
Dylan Moran.
Dylan Moran,
Moran.
yeah. Dylan Moran came to Shanghai.
Did he?
I went to see him. Yeah.
And how? I suppose because it.
But he didn't do any of those, like the script submitting and all those. I don't think the club who got him there did any of those. And actually, his show was pretty much interrupted. I remember, like he just wrapped it up really quickly because I think the police were coming or something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember.
That's a dream of mine, that I'm saying something so wild that the police show up. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, they didn't show up, but I heard either the show got reported or something like that. I don't remember, but he had to wrap it up really fast. Because the show was kind of on the ground. But even like his materials are like mostly very, very, very clean.
Yeah. Like his subject matters are clean. Oh, they are clean.
Very clean. And I can tell he was struggling with the Chinese crowd. Because first of all, he didn't expect that he had this much of fans in China.
You're right. Yeah, you wouldn't.
No. No, but then he came, he was like, all these people show up for me. And then he just like started to tell his jokes. I think the first half was like very new materials. And a lot of people weren't laughing. I think one point I can tell how confused he looked. Like he was like, why aren't they laughing? But I was just thinking, half of people here, they just here to see you. Their English level probably is like pretty low. Like they're just sitting here to see you because they love you. Yeah, but I can tell from a comedian's perspective, he's standing up there. Oh my God, these crowd hate me. Like they fucking hate me. But no, like they, I think half of them couldn't understand. And especially his jokes are so brilliantly written. It's like profound and all that. So I think it's hard for a lot of people to understand and follow really, quickly. So second half, he went down to have like 10 minutes rest. Second half, he came up and he was very much telling old jokes.
Okay.
And I think the first half, he was also even trying to slow down.
Yeah.
Understand more. But second half, he's like, I'm just going to do my old jokes. Then he's doing it in the normal speed. And maybe also because he's rushing to wrap it up. So people were like laughing, like second half was great. Yeah, but I can tell how confused he was. Like he was really confused. Yeah.
I remember doing gigging in Barcelona, and it was it was kind of a square, it was a club, but there was kind of 3 sides around the stage of maybe, I suppose, 10 by 10 by 10. And this whole row of 10 people, they just looked solidly at me, and everybody else seemed to be enjoying the time. But I was like 5 minutes in, they were just staring.
Yeah.
Staring at me.
I know those things.
And I had to, because everybody around them seemed to be on board and having a good time. I was like, is everything okay here? Are you security or what is it?
Yeah.
And the guy was looking at me, he's like, okay. I went, oh, do you speak any English? And they just started speaking Spanish amongst each other. And the guy behind him went, I don't think they speak any. I said, what the fuck are you doing in the front row?
Yeah.
Like, we don't know. We just wanted to come out to see you, basically. I'm like, yeah, but you could have sat in the back row and seen me. Yeah. Now I got to look at your faces for the next 50 minutes.
Yeah, that happens a lot, actually, because I have a lot of followers here in China. And sometimes I do shows, people are just here to watch me. They don't really understand. So a lot of times they're sitting there just like this, just like just the stares. Then I'm just like, these people hate me. But then after the show, they're like, oh, we love you. Can we take a picture and all that? I'm like, okay, but tell me by your face.
Yes, don't let your face stop it. What happened? Are they onto us? Is that what it is?
No, I don't know. I think it's my because in China you the internet, you have to use VPN. So yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
right.
I think that just broke off. So I
And
had
with
to like keep connecting.
27 million people in the one city, all wanting the internet.
I know.
Yeah,
It's not easy. Yeah.
I've just a couple of single farmers on dating websites around here just to compete with, so it's fine. Look, I just in case. Well, do you know what? I won't take up too much more. I know it's late. It's like
No, no
it must be
problem.
almost midnight.
I'm a night owl. I sleep really late.
Oh, fair enough. But I won't look. I won't take up any more of your time. Wait, so you are back at Christmas? You are back at
I
Christmas
will,
in
yeah.
Ireland,
Yeah.
and hopefully going to catch you on the crack then. But you do so follow Dawn. It's Dawn Wong, isn't it? 'Cause I just had you as Dawn Wong, but it is Dawn Wong on
So
TikTok.
YouTube is Dawn Wong, TikTok is Donnie the Chinese. Yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah.
Brilliant. I'll put a link to that one, and I want people to immediately go to see Dawn milking cows.
Thanks. Yes, that's worth seeing for
And
sure.
I want you to repost it because we want to get Dawn on maybe when you're back at Christmas we might get ear to the ground or nationwide down to interview you and get you maybe driving tractors,
Yes.
doing more. Yeah.
Oh, I would love to
Yeah.
do it. Yes.
Let's watch the Chinese woman dri-
Maybe
driving around the
shear a
Galway.
sheep or something. I don't know.
With well, you used a shish there, all right. So shearing sheep with our shellfish stick. And
Yeah, you better sharpen that selfie stick. Yeah, it's so hard. It's really funny because I notice every time I come to Ireland, late like like especially like this time, for example,
mm.
I will meet like older people, and then will say, "Hey, your English got better."
Oh, well, your Irish English got better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
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 my
yeah,
Irish
yeah.
English got better. Yeah,
Because
it's
you're
because
well,
I
what's
will
the
be
crack?
I've been meeting older people. I'm like, how are you keeping? I be saying all these
Yes,
things older people would say. So they're like, your English got better. I'm like, no, it's not. Yeah, and I always give my husband the credit. They're always kind of like, your English got better. It's because of your husband.
yeah,
Yeah,
nothing to do with the fact that you're trying to make it better yourself. Yes,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
No, doesn't matter that I started learning.
I don't get overly awed by like people get all excited about the American stuff, and I've done the American thing. I lived there for a while and stuff like that, but it was so many places I don't get. But I've always been super interested in China. Just always wanted to
Yeah.
go. I mean, there's obviously
China is really interesting. It's really nice, especially Shanghai. It's so nice to live in. Like the lifestyle, everything. It's just one of the best.
my was it Shanghai? A friend of mine, Jim, he's a comic. He's an American comic. He lives here. He's lived here forever. But his wife, they travel, like
Mm.
they travel everywhere. They go to the most obscure holidays. But they were in China recently, and
Mm.
they were taking photographs at something that you take photographs of. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
here.
you are. Where did it skip away to? Oh, sorry. It was recording the other part. Perfect. No, it was
All
then
right.
still downloading the previous. But they were taking photographs as you do of whatever monument they were in front of. And what happened was Chinese people the locals became very interested in Lisa, my Jim's wife, because she was the only blonde haired, blue eyed person there. So now they
Yeah,
wanted photographs with her. She was
yeah,
like, because Jim almost has a sallow look. He has kind of Italian American look. So it's like dark hair, nothing interesting for a Chinese person. Because it's like, you're not that far. But Lisa, they were like, we want a photograph with you. She's like, okay, all right. She does look very, very Nordic, even if even Irish, she looks quite Scandinavian, nearly just blonde hair, blue eyes, whatever. Like, where did
yeah.
you come
It's
from?
probably not in Shanghai though.
No,
It's
it wasn't
probably
Shanghai. It
yeah.
wasn't Shanghai. It
I
was
was
somewhere in
thinking
China.
that because people
Um,
in Shanghai they're so used to seeing foreigners.
yes, of
They're
course.
just like so used to it. Yeah.
But it was, but again, as Jim, he showed me the video of it. When he looked around, he was like, "Oh yes, we are the only foreigners here at Totally.
Oh wow.
Yeah, totally. Like there was hundreds of people, and they were clearly the only people who weren't Asian. Anyway, that's for sure. So,
Yeah.
but
You see,
he,
like Chinese people are really outgoing in that way. Like I always say Chinese people are introvert,
well,
but they're really outgoing in that way. Like when they see foreigners, they're very happy to like welcome. They welcome everybody. They welcome people who are from different culture. Then they're so interested. Like we are very interested in people who are from different background or culture, and just desperate to show them like how to say how warm Chinese people are.
yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the vast culture that there is there, you don't even, for how much history and everything in China, you almost don't even need to chat to foreign people because there's that much stuff. Good God. And it's so
Yeah.
huge.
It's more kind of like we want to show other people.
Yeah. I
Yeah, we
suppose.
want to show other people like we want them to have a great time in China.
And
Like
also,
sometimes
also too,
people,
I
yeah.
suppose, given the, I suppose I'm trying to choose my words correctly, the position that the government has, I guess the general public kind of want to go, oh, no, 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 no. We're cool. We're fine. We're really fun and warm people. Come on. You could absolutely
Yeah.
see happening. Like, this is for the
I
longest.
think yeah, I think at one point is Chinese people are most Chinese people I would say are fine with how the governments are run, like it's
Yeah,
run here. They're totally fine, but um like as a person, I find myself like in between.
right.
Like I'm westernized and I was born and raised here.
Yes.
So, and I love all the Western culture, and also I love my own country. But then I look at, sometimes if you look at like Western media reporting things about China, I'm like, what? That's not even like, I've never even, that's not true. Like this kind of,
Wow. Yeah.
there's a lot of this kind of how would I say? It's not even misunderstanding. It's just like it's kind of like we felt like we're misrepresented in a lot of way. Yeah, but like especially coming to reporting of a lot of culture things in China or whatever, like political things, like we don't really like Chinese people don't really read a lot about it. But I think Western media don't always show the true side of China sometimes.
Oh, for sure. You could
Like sometimes
absolutely
I
see.
would be reading a yeah, I would be reading an article, then I'm like, this is completely not true. Like this is not like they would say something about Chinese people or whatever. Like it's just completely not true.
So
Like
what?
I work in film industry, documentary industry, and sometimes I will have like foreign production come into China, and they will always want me to show them like the places that Chinese people don't even go. Then they will go there to film. Then I will see it later on like a Western media TV or something. It's just like, no, that's not even. Yeah, it's just kind of weird in a way. So I think Chinese people sometimes are a little bit too desperate sometimes, just wanting to show Western people like the best side of us sometimes.
It's
Yeah, but
interesting how
yeah,
the West like is. It's not the standard bearer is not the right word, but it's it's almost like so many other nationalities from whether it's the Middle East or the Far East or whatever. There seems to be almost an effort to go, no, we're really cool. Whereas, in my opinion, you should just not care. Fucking
yeah,
whatever,
exactly.
whatever you do,
Yeah,
you do you. We've been doing us for like 10,000 years. It's fine. It's fine.
yeah,
We've been doing this a long time. We're okay. We
yeah,
were, you know, but I suppose that, I mean, when we speak Western culture, it is Americanisms is what we're talking about, really. Like, we're just where
yeah,
that it kind of withers me here in Ireland when I hear Irish kids coming out with American, and getting overly interested in American politics. I'm like, they don't care about our politics. So why in the Christ? I know it's an interesting story, Pete, to see Joe Biden bumbling over sentences and whatever, but why do you care?
yeah.
you know, it just seems to be a very easy thing for Irish people, especially to lap up because we're right next door to America. But America doesn't care about us, so why would you care
Yeah.
about what they have to say? Like, because half of America still thinks we're wandering around in the dirt, only hoping for electricity.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's sometimes I go to like Western countries and people the questions people ask me, I'm just like, where did you even read about that? Where did you even learn about that? Like people would ask me really weird questions, like, "Oh, does China has like slippers?" I'm like, "We make them, bitch! Like that's what we make all your slippers." Like,
Pretty much
yeah, like
look
this kind of
around
stuff.
if I looked all around my studio right now, I pretty much 98% of things here probably came from a district somewhere in China.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like people ask me questions like, "Oh, you live on the 30th floor. Do you have an elevator?" Like I'm like, "What?"
No, no,
Yeah,
I climbed up on a rope. It's what I
I
do.
that's what we call gym. Yeah, that's my stairs. Like it's really interesting. And I find what Irish people always ask me this, "Oh, how's weather in China?" I'm like,
Listen,
"That's a big ass country."
don't take that personally. It's like
No,
people.
I know. Yeah.
It's our
I
number
always find that
one.
really funny.
It's our number one. Yeah, it's snowing in a lot of it and really fucking hot in the other bit of it because that's how
Yeah.
big of a country it is. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, people don't grab. But then again, in Ireland, you can have 4 seasons in one day. So, and and
That's true.
your husband's from the west of Ireland, which just has sideways rain all the time. So it's coming
I
in off the
know.
Atlantic. It's a
Like you guys always say you like summer. I'm like, that's not summer. Like
no.
you can't wear, yeah. Yeah.
We had 2 weeks of summer, and that's it. We have no more. It got to 26 degrees for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and that's it. We're back to the rain now and 12 degrees. So
That's why you always talk about weather
yeah,
all the time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's because it is so changing. Like but I mean, like that when when I lived in America, the amount of times I got complimented for how good my English was. Like, oh, thank you, thank you. I've been trying really hard.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and that's where they're at, for so many parts because and even from state to state, you get it. But same in England. You go to England and they're like, you meet people in England, their media is so closed off and one
Yeah.
sided that they will say the most ludicrous. Like I've had people who listen to this podcast go, would I be safe if I went to Ireland because I've got an English accent? Like, what? Half of Ireland is English people now because they've all escaped the English setup to move here, and open a
Well,
petting zoo.
they might call you like British cons or something.
Yeah. Oh,
But they won't, yeah.
but
That's funny.
but it is media, like it does close its doors, and it's like, well, it's just an easy narrative to run with the same old thing we've been saying about China for years, because heaven forbid we try and say something progressive or new about it, because we'd actually have to
Yeah.
put in some work and go there for a few weeks, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's really interesting. Sometimes I find myself caught in between because I would love because everywhere is like globalism. It's we benefit from so much from it,
Yeah, of course.
but then just seeing these two extremes going further and further, sometimes just really it pains me to see it for sure. Yeah.
I met a group of Chinese people. It was early last week. They were in our local town. They were here actually. They were executives from some beef company. It's big beef
Oh,
country here where I live, and there's a
yeah.
big beef. But they were buying a lot of beef, but they were quite excited. But they were so, because this place where we are has a lot of medieval castles, and the town
Yeah.
right here the whole town is built around a medieval castle. But to see their admiration for it, they were like, "We had no idea. We had no idea that you had castles." I mean, yeah, like you've castles too,
What?
but again, these were people who had never. They knew that Ireland did business and stuff, and we had a lot of cows, but they were
Yeah.
like, and they knew they were coming here for business, but at the same time, they hadn't thought about anything to do with Ireland, nothing at all.
No.
But then
No. Yeah.
their utter excitement then at, well, this is absolutely beautiful. You have castles, great,
Oh
you
yeah.
know. But
Ireland is so beautiful.
Ireland
Yeah.
hadn't been sold to them in any way at all, like, so they were. You could see one guy was nearly like, should probably set up a business of tourism for wealthy Chinese people to come here. They would love it.
Yeah, yeah, they would. They would. It's Ireland is just so beautiful, and the scenery and everything. The castles especially.
Well, I think
Like it's something that you don't see in China. Like we have our own historical stuff, but in Ireland, it's like a completely different kind of beauty. Especially, I see how Ireland's always keeping your like ruins. I just
yeah,
love that. Like the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
ruins are just so beautiful. But in China, ruins are it's either getting fixed into some like newly built historical building because they are trying to restore it.
All right.
But I just love how our Ireland just kept the way that ruin is.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah,
that's just
yeah.
raw and beautiful. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the history is lost on it if you're going to build onto it. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's like, come on, just leave it as it is. It's okay. But yeah, I mean,
I know.
it's very, very strict here. If you ever attempted, there's actually something I saw the other day, and I won't, on basis of that, you would absolutely love it. It's an old house, and this is one of the
Mm.
coolest pieces of art I've ever seen. It's just, I don't know how I've missed it for so many years, but it's just, there's no ceremony with it. There's no plaque. There's no sign to tell you. But when I looked in, it was an old square cottage, and the roof is gone off, for years.
Oh,
It might be
yeah.
200 years, right? But what they did was they obviously put the stone all back together. So it's the shape of a house with two triangular bits at the end, two peaks at the end. But the last maybe, I don't know, maybe 600 millimeters of stones, they're all old stones. What they did was they've drilled down through them with steel bars, and they've raised them up. They've raised it like they've actually lifted them up from each other, so you can actually see through at different levels. So it looks like the house of, if you can imagine like Tetris, the old video game where the blocks
Yeah.
just.
Yeah.
So it looks like the house is falling into shape, the way they've done the stone. I'm like, that now that's what you do with a ruin. If you're gonna do something with an old ruin, that's
Yeah.
what you do with a ruin. It
That's
was
cool.
just a subtle piece of art where you're like, oh, that
Yeah.
that is tastefully done. Nothing else needs to be done. But I stopped it. I was looking at it for a good 40 minutes going, brilliant, absolute genius move. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's I think the notions of the permissions you need to touch anything previous, like 100 years previous, forget about it. You ain't getting at it. It's all controlled by one government body, and you just don't get at it. It's as simple as that.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because of course they had people wanting to buy them and make them fucking British
Oh, yeah.
Starbucks or whatever. You're like, no, you can't. But
Yeah.
it's Shanghai is definitely on the bucket list. It is the place because my in-laws have been there and they were like,
Oh, yeah.
they loved it. When you listen to
Wow.
your in-laws stories and you go, I've definitely heard this 1,400 times before, but this is a story this of being in China where they have told it many, many times. But it's intrigued me since. I'm like, okay, all right. Looks like we'll have to
Yeah.
go to China. So
You should see it. Yeah. It's a highly functional, like if you come to even many cities in China, it's just like highly functional government. That's
yeah,
why that's why even with the high pressure from the government, people still just kind of had a lot of them just don't have a problem with it
because it works
because
well.
everything is high. It works so well. Like
Yeah,
if you come, you see this how the city is running, how the government, like people's life, is so convenient, and you're just like, wow, this is really great. But obviously, we struggle with a lot of other things.
well, I mean,
Yeah,
to
but it's
find
cool. It's definitely cool to see it. Yeah.
to see the fine balance of that, like it's almost it sounds like who has found a really good balance is say someplace like Munich.
Mm.
It's run really well, but it's a bit bohemian and cool as well, and you can kind of do what you want. A couple of my friends, they will never move home. They've been to Munich and they're like, once. It's like, that's it. This place is
Really?
perfect. Oh, perfect. Like
Wow.
everything runs exactly as it's supposed to be. And yet it's really good fun as well. There's a wildness to it as well at the same time, when like
Yeah.
Oktoberfest comes around, it's just all bets are off because it's a month of going crazy, drinking beer. But
Yeah.
the fact that the government have just enough input that everything runs really, really well. So people are
Yeah.
okay with it. So I get, yeah, there could be more high quality input here. We could do with some Chinese input here, to be honest with you, and sorting out a few things. It's like, oh, Jesus
Yeah,
Christ,
maybe.
who did you leave building that up to? Christ Almighty! But
Well,
there's
let us bring you capitalism.
a
Capitalism. Let us bring you that.
right.
It's
Okay.
funny. Chinese have to introduce you that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, in fairness, the Americans and the British have been trying it a long time, and it's still not
that's
really working.
true.
Still not really
That's
working.
true.
Irish people
That's
don't.
that's really cool. Actually, in Ireland, you see your own like local home brand, and your local small businesses are so protected.
Oh,
Like
and it's
there's not a lot of big corporates. I don't see that kind of stuff.
well, we were going
Yeah.
that way, and just naturally, I think Irish people kind of deflect. Not the, and there wasn't an outcry. There's too many fucking Starbucks. There wasn't. It just seemed to be cooler when if Dawn's coffee shop opened up next to you go, I'm going to Dawn's because Dawn actually gives a shit. And that was the thing.
Yeah,
Chances
yeah,
are
yeah.
Dawn has better coffee too, because it's like, because
Yeah.
you go in and people would go that extra mile because the kid working in Starbucks doesn't give a shit. It's like
I
I
know.
don't know where this coffee came from. I don't
Yeah.
care. They're tweeting, they're on Instagram or whatever. Whereas if you go into, John and Mary's, bakery next door, that there's because the quality of product coming
Exactly.
out of Ireland is good quality stuff because it's all based
Yeah.
from our high quality, high agriculture or whatever. So when it's any
Yeah.
product, typically people are, and it just happened again during the early 2000s. We all went, we need to be super cool and get for all American and British things. And then after a while, I went, oh no, this doesn't suit us at all. This doesn't suit us. We all sound like a bunch of wankers, which is what we, with a 7-year period of being total wankers in Ireland. And then thankfully it reverted back to normal again.
That's really great. Like even meeting Irish people abroad for example in China, like you see how Irish people just kept their own
Uh,
everything, personality, culture. Like they do their own GAA training in Shanghai or in Singapore, like in other countries. It's just like Irish people if you meet them, they're so different. Like they
it's,
kept their own Irish culture and their humility and everything. Like they're just so
it seems,
they're just like the
it,
best people you can meet here.
it seems to be a minority that seem to lean in the opposite direction and go heavy capital. It seems to be a minority of people. The vast majority, it seems to be far more accepted. And cool is the wrong word because you'll never get applauded for it. Because Irish people will never, they'll never go, well done for actually keeping your culture. It's just like, yeah, don't be a dickhead. That's
Yeah.
just, just don't be a
Yeah.
dickhead. Just
Yeah.
stop being a dickhead. You're a dickhead right now, and your friends are
Yeah.
absolutely allowed to call you out on it. That's number one. If you're
That's
being,
the thing.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I still get shocked when I see people going over the top and verbose with like a ridiculous car or ridiculous clothing and stuff. You're like, what is going on here? You're obviously trying to compensate for something because
Yeah.
that's not an Irish thing to be doing. Because your friends immediately, if you turn up
Yeah.
with, a $500 or $700 or $1,000 jacket, you expect your friends to go, take that fucking thing home because you're not coming out with us wearing that thing. No,
Yeah.
you dickhead. You know,
Yeah.
and it should be allowed. It's a healthy place to be called out by your friends to keep you in line.
That's true. That's so true. Yeah. Irish people are so down to earth. That's like one of the things that you don't really see in many cultures.
Well,
Yeah.
there's too far too, where where it's like, don't stick your head above the parapet just in case people think you're being a bit crazy, so there's again a fine balance to be found. And I think most to a degree, most people right now, especially, it's actually a glorious time right now, I notice, because culturally, again, watching culture and writing about it and stuff like that, I notice, especially since the pandemic and stuff, nobody gives a shit about anything. There is nobody married to anything anymore. It's not that
Yeah.
it's gone lawless. I mean, just nobody seems to give a shit about your style. Nobody cares about anything.
Mm.
It's like, you do you, because look, we
Yeah.
were we were locked in the house for 2 years. And actually, do you know what? If you want to be kind of weird, just be weird. Just whatever. Just what
Yeah.
just don't.
Yeah.
The main thing is don't be a dickhead. Simple as that. It's
Yeah.
just, if you can not be a dickhead, that'd be
True.
great.
That's true. Yeah. Very interesting. I'm very
Right.
interested to see if China would one day also go into that direction too.
I wonder naturally, I wonder are humans just pre-programmed to go in that direction eventually? I wonder. Do you know, but
Yeah.
then again, it probably takes an upheaval of some sort. But if things are running right, you can't ask, it's not, there won't be a revolution unless people's food sources and stuff are taken away. But if you're doing a good job of running a city, people can be going, oh, all right, okay. It's not bothering me, so
Yeah.
let's keep going,
Yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah. That's true.
but also
Yeah.
in one way, from my point of view, and other people's point of view, like you telling me this stuff is very, very interesting. It
Hmm.
makes it like the last thing we want is China to be like us because we want to be us and and be in keep China interesting like so. Yeah, you've got the best of both worlds. You can go farming anytime you want. You can just go. You know what? I'm done with China. Let's move to the west of Ireland with our shellfish sticks.
Yeah. My husband said I could never like become a farmer because I'm too attached to the animals.
Oh yes, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
He
mean,
always say that.
it's a pity they
Like
end up being so delicious. It's a pity.
yeah. Every time I go to Ireland, I'm always taking pictures of the cows, the horses, the sheep. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
yeah, I find them really beautiful.
Well, like I said, I met a group of Chinese people who, while they assumed, I'm sure, assuming they thought the cows were absolutely beautiful, they were more than happy to buy them in parts and bring them back to China.
I know. After
Can
all, money counts.
It's
Yeah,
a tremendous
that's
thing
true.
when well, in fairness, the local economy is more than happy to send as many cows as
Oh
China
yeah,
wants. They'll send
for
them to them,
sure,
no problem.
for sure.
By any chance,
Yeah.
are you hungry, China? Yes, fine. We've got lots of beef for you. Yeah, no problem.
Really good beef too. Like your
Yeah.
cows are just like running out freely. Like I love that.
Well, I that's the one thing that seems to be, that have had cousins who live in the States and stuff like that, and even British people coming up going, how is it so tasty? It's like because we have so much space and green, we
Yeah,
don't have to feed them corn, or we don't have to
I
feed them
know.
pump them with any weight. They're fine. They'll just eat lots
Yeah,
of the green stuff, and that's kind of apparently what you're supposed to do.
yeah, for
So
sure.
it does. But I mean, again, it's pretty much the backbone of the the economy here. Even though we're big on tech, and we have Google have their head offices. I guess Facebook and whoever else is here have their head offices
Mm,
here, which is fine. But like the backbone, I think it's like a third of the economy can all be traced to agriculture. So
really?
yeah, it's something huge. It's a huge number anyway. Of the economy can be. It's something along those lines. It was up until a couple of years ago. A third can be traced to agriculture. So you kind of can't do without the farmers.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And you have the beautiful green land. It's such a waste not to use them too.
Ah, yeah, yeah. I mean, apparently we're to take European directives and kill 200 cattle. We're to cull 200,000 cattle from the national herd is supposed to be taken out because of greenhouse gases. You're like, okay,
Oh, right.
okay.
Wow. Wow.
But that would leave us at a shortfall of eating our own beef. So we'd have to buy in beef. So, I mean, so somebody else
Wow.
can grow it somewhere else.
Oh, that-
And their methane gases, because we're on a different planet, of course, to somebody else that will grow it. Like the farmers are just going, what? What? It's
Yeah.
so there's good and bad of being part of it. Like, but I do see like while Irish people are nice and stuff like that, it gets to a certain point where there is still a history of revolution, and you can kind of see the farmers at the minute are going, no, 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 that's it. We're not bending to that one at all. Like, and there could be. I would imagine the government are going to have to rethink a few things at the minute. Like if you're like your in-laws would be watching it closely. Like if they're cow people, so they would be up in arms. Like they stopped a bunch of traffic recently. Like there's government ministers, huge protests happening because of these ludicrous levels. That and all it is not they're not coming up with it. It's Europe because we're part of the European Union. They're going, we think Ireland should have less cows. They're going, what? No.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's getting very, very silly to a degree because, but again, I would imagine you're talking about country people who have no problem in revolting. Like, so
No.
no, oh no, there's no problem, because especially when you live in the countryside, and this is talking to my city friends, they're like, how do you know how everything about how do you fix cars? Because here in the countryside, you grow up and there isn't a man to call. You don't ring the car guy. You didn't when I was like, you didn't. If something broke, you learned how to fix the fucking thing. You learned how to fix it because there was nobody to be calling, or it just stayed broke, one or the other.
Yeah.
Whereas in the
Yeah.
city, my friends, and they're looking at the wrong end of a hammer. They're like, how do you put up a shelf? Like, how did you get this far in life and not know how to build shit? But it's because in the countryside. So essentially,
I know. Yeah.
if the city turns its back on the countryside, it'll still be fine. That's why during lockdown and all these lockdowns and stuff, nothing changed in the countryside. Nothing. Everybody traveled just as traveled just as much as they always did. They went where they wanted to because they were like, no, you do you, and we'll just stay doing us, man. We'll just keep being okay. All right. There was.
You just can't drop by a neighbor's house whenever you want, I guess. Back then.
Well, technically you weren't supposed to. But when there's
yeah.
Wow.
Like I can't even drive. Like growing up in the city. I don't even have no, I don't yeah, exactly. So that's one of the things, like, wow, when you go to the countryside, you're like, I can't go anywhere. Like even going to a convenience store, you know.
And I learned to drive at age 7.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now it is obscure even for a country kid to be learning at 7.
It is. Yeah.
But I would immediately, by age 10, I was a productive member of the society. I could drive a tractor. And they were like, okay, the small tractor and that field needs work. So send a 10-year-old, get him to go do it. So you're like, because you got to grow up pretty fucking quick, because there's only so much time you can do this kiddie shit. We become where you're not useful. You're like, but you've got 2 legs and 2 arms and you need to become fucking useful quickly. So by the time you get to college and all your friends are like, God, I don't know about a job. You're like, a fucking job. I mean, a job. I've been doing 14-hour days since I was 10. You know what I mean? So
yeah. It's true.
That's
really funny because everybody, like especially comedians, always make jokes about like China's child labor, right?
Mm.
But then I'm always like talking to Western people. I'm like, oh wow, when did you start working? Like, because in China it's like impossible. Like when I was 16, I wanted to find some like waiter job just to kind of exercise myself, but like nobody would hire you because it's illegal. But then I talked to like Western people. They're always like, oh, I started working since I was like 12 or something. I'm like, how? Yeah. That's really interesting. Yeah.
That is, and it is almost a running joke. Okay, child labor and all the rest in China, but absolute no countryside. Whatever about even in the cities.
You guys are child laborers.
But you have to like. There is no. Oh, I don't feel like it today. It's like, you don't fucking feel like it today, don't you? Oh, but you know what? How about throw your Xbox off the wall? How about that? You want to go work?
Wow. What kind of child labor has Xbox?
Well, you know what I mean? There just isn't the option. And you're not raised in that. Well, I sure as shit, and most of my friends weren't either. You weren't raised with an option. So you actually there was then an element of pride and just duty of, oh yeah, you get up, or when you come home from school, there's work to be done. There'll always be something to be done, because again, you're dealing with larger areas too. Like, whereas my friends in cities, if they did grow up in a house, they grew up on something that might be 1/10 of an acre. Whereas we would have grown up on 150 acres, that kind of like to that.
Yeah.
And all that shit needs work, so there's always something.
It's hard work. Yeah.
There's always something to be done,
Yeah.
It's, but look, I'm not going to keep you any longer. This was absolutely brilliant. I've never, this is the first. This is a first. Somebody actually all the way in China. This is the first. Yeah. Yay. We had
the only Chinese in the village and the only Chinese in Tom's podcast.
This is tremendous. We're going to, the only Chinese, that has to be your sitcom. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
But it writes itself. You landed the farm in west of Ireland. Like,
Yeah. And to start writing some scripts and find the Irish Netflix to to take me in.
well, Netflix are here. They have offices here. So you could just,
All right.
yeah, you just,
The
yeah.
only Chinese in the village.
And exactly, you're genuine. You're not like some, American person, pretending to be Chinese. Like, you're actually Chinese and you actually
Yeah, I'm
have an
Chinese.
Irish husband.
Chinese.
The thing
Yep,
actually writes itself.
I know.
God, there's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of potential.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Dawn, this has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah. Great pleasure. Thank you so much, Tom.
Thank you very much, Dawn. What a class chat. Ha! How often do you get to talk to somebody in Shanghai about comedy and having the crack? What's the crack? Good Ryan out there. She absolutely nails it. Absolutely nails it. Go have a look at the link. Follow her on TikTok, and she's there on Instagram and YouTube and all the rest of it. But the TikTok videos are the ones I came across first. If you'd like to support the show, of course, become a Patreon of the Tom O'Mahony Show, and you get loads of other stuff, ad-free content of all my other podcasts as well as that, the other benefits you get. And just being sound to support the show, go through the link, have a rummage in around there. There's loads of stuff for you to have a gander at in the way of tickets, shows upcoming, and videos. There's my full special there. If you haven't seen that, go have a look at that. Look it. Once again, thank you very much to Dawn. Click on through the link, have a rummaging around, and let me know what you find. Have a smashing weekend. Good night, listen to things.